They brought up Marcia's name so many times on this trip. I know Marcia's sitting at home like, now how did I get in it? Like, Marcia's at home minding her business, not in the thick of it in the drama with y'all. Y'all want to keep bringing up Marcia. Marcia might as well came over for a visit. Shoot. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Y'all already know it's me, Brandy Yvonne. Here at my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. It's Friday night, so we are talking OWN's Ready to Love. This is season 7, episode 10, I do believe. It was titled Bro Code Broken. Before we get into any of it, y'all, thank y'all so much for continuing to subscribe, continuing to hit that thumbs up button. We've been getting new subscribers every week, so I greatly appreciate the support from y'all. Y'all don't even know. So also, please share the video. If you share it on Twitter, tag me at Brandy Yvonne so I can know you shared it. Comment down below once you do subscribe. Give me a shout out. Let me know what you think of tonight's episode. I thought it was good. Y'all always know. Y'all always know. The getaways is where we get the drama. We didn't get no drama all this season in Miami, but we got it all on the getaway. So let's get into it, y'all. So, episode opens up with everybody driving down to the secret location. Morgan said nephew Tommy gave them some secret location for everybody to meet up with. Jefri's riding with her. They're talking about their top connections, how they're very two different. They wish they could mesh them together. I wish it was that easy too, girl. Let's see. We also see Anthony driving Tony and Lyndon. Tony and Lyndon, you know, they have a funny love-hate relationship. I think Tony's fine with Lyndon as long as Morgan's not there, okay? And they're talking about their connections. And, well, they didn't talk too, well, they got on Anthony about his connections, but they didn't bring up Morgan. And then we also have another car where Andre's driving, I believe Cynthia, and then Mercedes and Mark Anthony, okay? And so they're kind of talking about drinking and the drama that's about to go down in the house. So they arrive at this swamp, middle of nowhere looking place. They're like, where they got us? You know, black people in the swamp is giving ghetto. All the alligators is over there. It's high. They're in the middle of nowhere. Here come nephew Tommy on the airboat in the middle of the swamp. He lets them know that, you know, we're going to try to get closer to your top connections, and one lady is going to be going home. I was kind of shocked because Marcia went home last week, so why are we sending home another woman? But somebody mentioned on Twitter about the numbers being off, so because the ladies used a lifeline last time, so, or whenever they use the lifeline, so that could be the reason. But I don't know. I don't think, now that I think about it, that wouldn't throw the numbers off, because wouldn't it have made it be more men? I don't know. I didn't count how many people were there, so y'all let me know in the comments why they eliminated a woman twice in a row now. That was kind of weird to me. So anyway, so nephew Tommy, you know, I don't even know where he went, how he got out the swamp. So everybody gets in the airboat. Lyndon immediately grabs Morgan and they sit in the front. They got to cover their ears. And I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't want that swamp water blowing all in my face. So they get on the airboat, end up at the house. I'm like, what about their stuff that was in the car? Like, make it make sense, Ready to Love. Also, their production and their editing is not giving what it needs to give, because nephew Tommy had on the same outfit. Didn't he have on the same outfit in the beginning as he did in the end? That brown shirt. So I was like, that's kind of weird. Anyway, and some of the guys, like I noticed Blake was wearing the same outfit. So I'm like, is this the next day or was it the same day? Like, how did y'all edit this, chop and screw it? Like, make it make sense. So everybody gets in the house. They do the run around, figure out the rooms like the Real Housewives. Mercedes and Andre over there tussling over the rooms, laughing and having a good time. Andre let us know in the confessional that, you know, Mercedes didn't check on him when he was sick. But then, you know, they was cool after that. But then they had their little tussles, but then they still good after that. And he's good with his situation with Mercedes. I'm like, Mercedes is not checking for you, Andre. She's not checking for you. And speaking of Andre, while we on the topic, what in the world was in Andre's hair? Was it a clip? Was it a fascinator? Was it a feather? What was in that man's hair? And why? Like, he don't need to add no other attractions to everything he got going on. He got the curl here, he got the bun here, he got the mohawk back there. Like, he don't need to add a fascinator to it or a barrette. Like, what's going on? He don't need to put a feather in his hat. Like, no. What's happening, Andre? Andre does these things for shock value. And the crazy thing is, like, certain parts of the episode, I was like, you know what? Andre's growing on me. he don't need to do all the extras. Like, if he could tone it down, like, come on, Andre. Come on. I want to root for you, Andre, but you make it hard. When you produce stuff like that, you just make it hard. So anyway, like I said, everybody got their rooms. Looked like Morgan and Cynthia room together and all that. So then in the, looked like a little recreational room. They had like a pool table. They had an exercise bike. Mercedes went to get her workout on because she ain't trying to gain no weight in the house fooling around with y'all, okay? So Tony and Lyndon decided to shoot pool and have a game. And they said they're going to play for Morgan's honor. Tony's like, yeah, whoever wins, is going to see who Morgan where she sleep tonight. I'm like, oh, no. So Morgan, first of all, Lyndon was like, I was hoping Tony had some drinks to throw off his game because he was like, he could play some pool. So I don't know. I didn't expect him to play this good. Tony looked like he played pool up in New York in the middle of a dark alley at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, okay? You know Tony plays some pool. Look at him. You could tell he could play some pool. So anyway, then Morgan came in there and she falling on the floor laughing at it. Lord have mercy. The toxic and the toxic, more toxic, okay? So Tony won. We already knew Tony was going to win. I'm sorry, Lyndon. And so Tony won and him and Morgan walked away together like, of course, okay? That was a mess. So anyway, so everybody's, chilling, hanging out, enjoying the house. Let's see. Then we see Anthony talk to SuAnn. So Anthony and SuAnn end up, I don't know what game they were playing, but Tony came in there and Anthony shoot him away. And SuAnn is like, oh, I see you just got rid of Tony. I don't know the name of that game. Like, I've seen it, but I don't know the name of it. Drop it in the comments if y'all know the name. I couldn't think of the name of that game. So he was asking her basically, like, what's, happening with your connections in the house. I know me and you, we struggled in the beginning, but we're making a connection now. Like, am I too late? Or, what's it like? And she was like, well, like, you snooze, you lose. And I definitely am leaning towards a different direction. And she was like, you had your chance. And he's like, oh, did I drop the ball? Did I miss the mark? He's like, I didn't know I had a deadline. She's like, yeah, you dropped a good ball, fun, crazy ball, wonderful ball. And he was like, well, at the end of the day, all that matters is that, you make your connections and you got what you wanted out the experience. So that's all that matters. So I don't know what is happening in my hair. So anyway, he wasn't pressed. Anthony, stop playing around with SuAnn. You was not pressed. Anthony wanted to clear his own conscience when it came to SuAnn. That's all he wanted to do. Okay, you was not interested in SuAnn any time during this process, Anthony. Why are you playing in SuAnn's face? Why are you playing in our faces? Make it make sense. Okay, so then let's see. We did see everybody's in the kitchen cooking. They're making tacos. They getting it together, okay? Mark Anthony and Jefri go outside, and Jeffrey's like, I'm just in my head, and I don't know. It's just so much. I didn't know this would be hard, having both of my connections in the house together, and I just don't know. And it's just, oh my God. And Mark Anthony was like, I get it. I understand. He's like, you fine. No, you fine. And she's like, you likes too. She's like, I do like you. And so then Andre came out there, and he was like, oh man, can I borrow for a second? But he was making like a joke, and he let them know the tacos is ready. Okay, so they went back in the house, right? Tony sat down at the table. He was like, hey, girl, talking to Morgan. Come sit over here. Come sit over here next to Daddy. Come on, sit over here. He didn't say Daddy, but that's what he was giving y'all. So she went over there and sat down because she knew what she had to do, okay? When Tony said, come sit down, you better come sit down, Morgan. So she went over there and sat down next to Morgan. Lyndon then proceeded to sit down next to Morgan. And I think Anthony was next to Lyndon and Cynthia was next to Anthony on the corner. So, because it was like a big old square table, y'all. So, Jeffrey's like, oh my God, this is not just so picture perfect. It's like I should draw a heart around it. I don't know why she said that. Like, what was the point? But Tony immediately flipped. He was like, 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 why he gotta be over here? So he started having all these issues. And like, he was just too through. So then Morgan was like, okay, like, let's go take a break outside. Come on, let's go talk outside. So she goes to talk outside to Tony, and she's sitting on his lap on one of the patio chairs. And so she was like, what's the matter, baby? Like, you know, you told me to come sit by you. I sat by you. Like, what's up? He's like, yeah, but I didn't expect your shadow to follow you. And she was like, what, Lyndon? Like, that's okay, but I'm sitting next to you. Like, what does it matter? And he was like, it don't matter. Like, everywhere he go, you go. He like a leech. And I don't like the way Lyndon is doing all that. He doing too much. And everywhere Morgan goes, he got to follow and all this stuff. And so she was like, okay, but you're putting me in a situation. Like, you putting me in a predicament. Like, Tony, you gotta know how uncomfortable this is for me. Oh my God. Morgan, stop playing around. Morgan loves Tony acting crazy over her. She loves the toxicity of it all. Okay? They are going to both end up in jail. If they work out, they're gonna both end up in jail. They're killing each other. Oh my gosh. So she was like, you're acting like a madman. And he was like, who's being a madman? He was like, I'm not. She's like, well, you're not acting like you are a madman. Like, you need to calm down. Like, it's not that serious. And da-da-da. She was like, and then he got offended saying, like, I know, because she was like, you don't know how to act. And he was like, oh, I'm offended by that. Like, first of all, I know how to act. Like, I just don't like, you know, the way Lyndon is moving, always being all up on her. He didn't like all that. And so then he was like, you know what, it's fine, go in there and eat your food. Like, I'm gonna sit out here and chill. And he like pat her on the butt and he was looking at her. And he's like, yeah, girl, if I'm wrong, I don't want to be right. I was like, oh, Lord. Fix it, Jesus. So Tony and Morgan, fix it. So, oh, Lord. So she went back in the house, probably sat right back down next to Lyndon. So then after lunch, we see Andre and Cynthia get a moment to speak. And so she was like, oh, I like the way, you know, you're touching me and holding me and you're like a gentle giant. And he's like, oh, wow, I'm glad you made that observation. And they're basically talking about, like, you know, going deeper. She's saying how she hesitated with him because she's not really sure if she could keep up with all his flash and stuff. And so he's like, I know I can have like surface or superficial conversations, but I'm deeper than that. I'm much more than that. And he was letting her know that, like, yeah, you know, I want to help kids. I'm really in tune with my career and all that. I really want to reach back in the community, help kids, because I was a kid once and I really, you know, went through some traumas and some hardships. So I want to help other people and help the next generation coming up. And, you know, there's more to me than, you know, what you see. And she's basically like, okay, I needed to hear that because that was the hesitation with you. And I'm not really sure. Andre let us know that it's hard because he has Jefri, who's wife material. She's ready right now. She's all these things. She's cultured. She's well this, she's that. I was like, really? He giving Jefri quite a bit. Is it just me or he's giving Jefri quite a bit, okay? And he's like, but then I got Cynthia. She's a strong, smart, beautiful woman. And she's also ready, so I don't know. You gonna pick Jefri and quit playing. But I like the talk that they had on the sofa. I wasn't mad at that, okay? So, let's see. We had seen Blake and Susu in the room. Susu said she like a bunk bed. I was like, who like a bunk bed as an adult? I don't know. She happy to have Blake in there to move the suitcases around for her, okay? I said, Blake got some good looking muscles, though. Say what y'all want to say about Blake. His body is on point, okay? Then, let's see. I believe we saw Jefri and Morgan sitting down because Jeffrey's just like, oh my God, I didn't know this was going to be hard to make this decision. These two men in the house, like, oh my God. So she sat down and Morgan sat down next to her. And then Tony came in and she's like, Tony, like, come over here. And so Jeffrey's like, I really need a male perspective and somebody real to talk to. And she's like, you know, I have my two connections, Andre and Mark, and I just don't know. So he was like, really? So who's it going to be? Tony was like, so what's the tea? And so he's like, who you gonna choose, girl? And so she was like, I don't know, it's just really hard. And he's like, sweetheart, this is the game of love. Like, you know, somebody's heart's gonna get broken. This is real life. This is love. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, someone's gonna get hurt in this process, but you have to do what's right for you, and that's all you gotta do. And she's like, I wish I could be pragmatic about it the way you are. I hope I said that word right, y'all. I'm on my spring break. I ain't got to sound educated. I'm just kidding. I will always try to sound educated. But anyway, so Morgan over there twisting her face up like, I know he ain't giving all the good advice. So Morgan was looking like, and then Tony was like, what? And so then she was like, okay, this is crazy because you can make so much sense about somebody else's scenario, but then when it comes to your own situation, like you act like a damn fool. Like I don't understand it. And he's like, what's the issue? He's like, what did I say? I'm sorry, baby. What did I do? And he's like, because you be acting like a hothead, like you be tripping. And he was like, the thing is like, you came here with 2 connections, but really you only have 1. And she's like, oh. And so he was like, yeah, you over here playing like you won't let the other guy know what's up. Like, you over here playing. She was like, okay, but you had Marcia. And he's like, yeah, Marcia was cool. She was beautiful, all that, but she not here. Like, you here, I'm here. That's what it is. They brought up Marcia's name so many times on this trip. I know Marcia's sitting at home like, now how did I get in it? Like, Marcia's at home minding her business, not in the thick of it in the drama with y'all. Y'all want to keep bringing up Marcia. Marcia might as well came over for a visit. Shoot. So anyway, now I think at this point we get down to the dinner scene, y'all. Everybody got cleaned up. Anthony made dinner. I knew they was gonna have Anthony doing all the cooking. Anthony looked like the smart, sensible, responsible one of the group. Blake does too, just the way he carries himself as well. But I knew Anthony was gonna have to do all the cooking and the cleaning. Okay, so they all sat down for dinner. And they kind of did cheers and they talked about going on the airboat and everything. Cynthia got swamp water in her face. Andre proceeds to tell us about, the land being land of indigenous people and it was owned by Black Africans and all this stuff. But he was talking with his mouth full. So it kind of threw me off. Like, I really understand what he was saying. I was like, what is the problem? But he was eating and talking at the same time. I need him to chew all his food and then speak, especially because he was speaking about something about our history, about something good. So I'm like, come on, Andre, what's happening? So Mercedes was like, do you feel like you have to know your history in order to build a legacy? And he said, absolutely. And so then Lyndon, he decided to break up the scene. Y'all, this is where they got good, okay? So Lyndon was like, yeah, so one of the, let me back up because it's an important part I'm missing before I get to all that. So Lyndon was talking in the kitchen with Mercedes because he's like, I need to see what's up with Mercedes. Basically, Lyndon want to shoot his shot, but not really want last time. He want to be sure he's comfortable in his mind with putting Mercedes in the bottom, basically. Okay, so he was checking in with Mercedes. He's like, I know we're friends now, right? And she was like, yes, we're friends. He was like, thought so. So he was asking her about her, connections and who she's leaning towards. And she was like, yeah, I'm not going to say fully, but she was saying like, she likes Mark Anthony and Anthony, but she's definitely leaning towards, I think she did let him know she's leaning more towards Mark Anthony. And so Lyndon said in his confessional, like, at the end of the day, we're not here to make friends, we're here for love. So, that definitely let me know that Mercedes is going to have to be in the bottom for me. I was like, Lyndon, you ain't right. Lyndon, you are not right. So anyway, okay, so now I think I covered everything before the big old dinner scene. So back to the dinner scene, right? So Lyndon, after, Andre's trying to educate us about the land with his mouth full of food, Lyndon began to say, one of the ladies, they're going home. And so he's asking Tony, like, how do you feel about that? That one of the ladies have to go home from the process tomorrow morning. And so he was like, at the end of the day, like, it's always been Morgan for day one for me. So it really doesn't matter about the other ladies and everything like that because it's just Morgan for me. So none of that stuff matters. And then he's like, oh, okay. And so, everybody's like, so how about them Dolphins, the Miami Heat? Like, what's up? And so then Lyndon gonna say, now at this time, Morgan is like coming through the door. He gonna say, okay, what if Marcia was here? Or, would you feel the same way? Then who would you choose? And so Tony's thing is like, Morgan, Marcia is a beautiful, smart lady, but she's not here. So what does it matter? Like, at the day, it's been Morgan for me from day one. Like, yeah, I liked Marcia as well, but at the end of the day, it's still been Morgan for me for day one. So Tony's getting pissed, and you could tell Lyndon did this to him on purpose because Lyndon can get under Lyndon can get under Tony's skin, and Lyndon don't even be mad. And I only think Tony realizes how easily Lyndon gets under his skin, and he lets him get a rise out of him so easily and quickly. It's so funny to watch it, actually. So, and then at this point, Tony is pissed. So then Tony gonna say, okay, let me ask you something. So, So no, Lyndon is like proceeding to ask questions about the whole Marcia and all that. And Blake's like, nah, Lyndon, like, don't do this. So then Tony, like I said, he was pissed, and then he's like, let me ask you something. How do you feel about the fact that, I've been kissing Morgan and you haven't kissed her at all? Now I done kissed her about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in this whole process, and you haven't gotten to kiss her at all. So then Advocate Sue put on her lawyer hat real quick and was like, objection, this is hearsay. And so everybody at the table was like, oh no. Everything was like, so what about them dolphins? So then was like, okay, like, you want to go there with it. So then Lyndon was like, okay, so tell me this. How you think Morgan would feel if she knew that you told me if Marcia was here, then I could have Morgan? And so then they was like, oh, no, don't do this. We don't want to do this. So then they was like, what? Morgan's like, what? And so then he was like, did you say that? Yes or no? So Tony said, yes, I did. He stood on what he said. He didn't back down. None of that. He's like, yes, I did say that. He's like, at the time I was angry because there was this and that going on. Then it was like, nah, you was not angry at the time. You was having regular conversation. So Lyndon said in his confessional that at the time, he talked to Tony about this off camera, and it wasn't no like heated or crazy conversation. I was like, look at Lyndon breaking the fourth wall to give us the tea. Well, we are here for it. So he was like, I didn't, plan to expose him in this way, but the way he was going, like, I couldn't, like, let him get away with this, because he was like, I saw how he was manipulating Morgan, and at the end of the day, he's manipulating everybody in the situation. And so I get Lyndon's point, but it was just a bunch. I mean, we was here for it, though. So then they arguing back and forth at the table, y'all. I mean, and then Blake trying to calm everybody down. Andre standing up, ding the bottle, like, hold on, y'all. So then, Tony's like, no, I already answered your question. Like, you talking to Blake? Is you talking to me? Like, what is it? He was already told you, like, it's Morgan for day one. You're like, who's she sitting by right now? Like, what do you think? Like, she not gonna be in your room. You're gonna be going home alone and all this. And Morgan's like, first of all, I'm right here. Y'all talking that stuff. I'm not here. I'm right here. And so then she's like, hello. And so then Tony was like, we can settle this like men outside. We can go outside. So Lyndon got a smirk on his face the whole time Tony is going off. Tony is getting for real. You could tell Tony get that look in his eye when he get real mad. So he was for real mad. He was not acting. He was for real mad. And Lyndon kind of was just smiling. He's like, okay, we go outside like men, like what? And so they was like, nah, we ain't going outside. It's cool. So Morgan got tired of it. And she went outside to take a breather. And Cynthia went after her to check on her. And Anthony was like, I was just trying to see about them dolphins, man. Y'all, that scene was so hilarious to me. Anyway, let me know what y'all thought of that scene in the comments. And so Blake was like, I tried to tell them, okay? So anyway, so like I said, Morgan went outside. Or wherever she went. I think she just went to her room or the living room somewhere to cool off. Cynthia was checking on her. And so Lyndon came out in there, and he's like, wanted to apologize. I didn't mean for you to get in between that. I didn't mean for that to come out like that, but I didn't want him to be, playing with you and all that. And he's like, basically, you ended up in the middle. I'm sorry. It just turned into a who's, members bigger contest, and that's it. And so she was like, I appreciate you coming out here to discuss that. So, y'all, that was a mess. So anyway, then later on, we see Andre and Jeff. Oh, side note, before I forget, it was just a funny scene, not important, but when everybody was in the kitchen earlier in the day and Mercedes came through in her little hot white shorts and Mark Anthony was grabbing all up on her, he was like, oh, look at Mercedes in these little hoochie white shorts. And he's like, you looking like you could be my first ex-wife. I was like, oh, not the ex-wife, Mark Anthony. But you know what? I used to say my ex was supposed to be my first ex-husband, but we didn't get married, thank God. So that didn't work out. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that part up, y'all. So, okay. So, Morgan, she heard the press. But on the other, at nighttime, everybody tired. They taking shots. They drinking, whatever. So, Andre and Jefri go to get in the hot tub. Now, Jefri comes to the hot tub with leggings on. Okay. So, I don't know why. What was her bathing suit cover up? what was her little, maxi dress to throw on over the dress, some little poom poom shorts like Mercedes had. Like, I don't know. So she went to the hot tub with Andre. Andre all the way in the hot tub. He said he trying to relax. There's a lot of tension at dinner. He trying to just relax. So he was like, yeah, the emotions are high. Like, but the process, like, someone has to go home in the morning. Like, what do you think? So Jefri it was like clicking her head, like, oh, I can't just sit here. She's like, you're so far away from me. So then she got in the hot tub and she told us at the confessional, like, I didn't plan on getting in the hot tub. I wore these leggings to be on camera in this hot tub. I thought I was just going to put my feet in. So I'm like, okay, she didn't, but you could have took the leggings off right there. Like, it was just weird. Unless she got something to cover on her body. I don't know. It was just weird. So she got in the hot tub and was with him, and he was like, so how you feeling about everything with the process? She's like, I'm not going to tell you, but I just feel like, I have so many guards up and walls up, and you just unwrap me like a present. Oh, Jefri, girl, you're exhausting. But anywho, so, eventually they started making out. She's like, I don't know who initiated the kiss. We just glided to each other like we've been doing all season. I think Jefri and Andre are going to work out. And they got out the hot tub. Andre, like, scooped her booty out the hot tub some kind of way. And he was, like, telling her, you're a princess. You're a princess. I was like, oh, my God. What is y'all doing and saying? Really? So then we see Tony go in the room at night because he thought he was going to sleep in the room with Morgan because remember, he won her honor, but he threw it all away at the dinner table. So he went in there to apologize, and he was like, yeah, I did say that at the time. It was a lot going on. I was heated, but yeah, I did date Marcia. She's a beautiful, smart, intelligent woman. But at the end of the day, it was always you for number one. I always picked you, all that. And she was like, Cynthia told me, pay attention to how someone treats you when they get angry or upset, and I don't like the way you treat me when you get mad. And so he was like, I'm sorry, but like, what do you expect for me to do? Like, I gotta sit there and watch you, be with this other man. Like, how are you, expecting me to act? She was like, how do I expect you to act? The same way I have to act when I saw you hanging out with Marcia and going on all these dates with Marcia and being up in Marcia's face. Now, I had to call cap on Morgan on that part, because she was over there grabbing Tony's face, talking about she gonna get him and nair his hair next and do all this stuff every time he was even looking at another lady the wrong way. Like, she was on top of him almost as hard as he's been on top of her. So the energy is the same. So not that Morgan was as outwardly aggressive about it as Tony was tonight, and we're in a different part of the process, but still, for Morgan, it was worse because they were in the beginning still getting to know all the people. So I was like, nah, Morgan, you was acting real rowdy when he was all up in Marcia's face too, girl. You just wasn't acting ignorant on camera like Tony did, okay? So anyway, she was like, you got to respect the, all that, basically, like, I had to see Marcia, you got to see Lyndon, it's fine. So then he's like, nah. He's like, I don't want to go back and forth about what you did, he did, I did. Like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I apologize. That's it. So then she's like, no, like, I don't like how you are. Like, this is enough for me. And so he was like, no, I'm not about to do this. I'm not about to go back and forth. So he didn't even really take accountability. He didn't even want to hash it out. He doesn't know how to sit and have a conversation, in my opinion. Like I said, they're very much toxic. Those two, oh, Lord, that's a horrible explosion, okay? Horrible. So he ain't sleeping with her tonight, okay? So he exited the room. So then I think at this point, that it's like the next morning, nephew Tommy comes with the same brown sweater he had on. And he says, okay, it's time to figure out what lady's going home. So he excused the ladies, talked to the men. So he asked, what's going on? Who are we feeling? What's with the connections? Andre is still feeling Jefri was pretty much his number one. Mark Anthony said Mercedes has really moved up during this week, but then he still got to live for Jefri too. Tony said it's just Morgan from day one. Actually, Tony went first. Morgan's day one. Blake says, Sue for him, definitely. He is worried about the previous marriage thing, but, they're going to work it out. Sue for him. Anthony said Cynthia for sure, number one, but, Mercedes is still in there as well. And Lyndon also said Morgan, okay? And then Lyndon said, me and Blake was like, yeah, dinner got a little heated, but it was all good. That we worked it out. And nephew Tommy was like, really? And so then Lyndon was like, yeah, it's been working for day one. Me and Tony almost killed each other over her, but it's all good. And then Tony laughed too. Like I said, they have a good little love-hate for each other. It's kind of funny. So then he's like, okay, here comes the hard part. So now we got to talk about who we not feeling, because one of these ladies has to go home. Okay, so for Mark Anthony, he's not feeling Susu just because they're at different ages at their life. She's significantly older than him. It just wouldn't work. Let's see. Who said they wasn't feeling Morgan? I want to say it was Jefri. I mean, not Jefri. Andre, I think, said he wasn't feeling Morgan. Lyndon, he's not feeling Mercedes, and I want to say Jefri as well. And then, SuAnn. Mercedes and SuAnn. He feels like SuAnn had a guard up. I'm sorry. Anthony is not feeling Morgan. They just decided to be friends. And Tony also said he's not feeling Mercedes and Advocate Sue as well. Lyndon was like, man, me and Tony both like Morgan, and then we both put Mercedes and SuAnn in the bottom. It's like Tony is like, he's in my head, man. And he's like, no, I'm just playing. You could tell he'd be saying stuff just to irk Tony's nerves. Oh my gosh, he's hilarious. You know what? Lyndon is growing on me too. I mean, he's still to get his roommate situation together, and he wouldn't be my type, but he looked like fun on the town. I would definitely go to his bar. Okay, y'all saw how he was making them drinks? When Dave was like, we need a drink, and he was like, I'll make the drinks. I said, I know that's right, Lyndon, because that's what you do. You make drinks. Use the bartender. Do what you do, okay? So anyway, so nephew Tommy's like, okay, one of y'all got to tell the ladies, because I ain't the one doing it. So they gather everybody around. And so I believe Andre is the one that stepped up, and so he called out Mercedes. Mercedes like, dang, I ain't never even been in the bottom. I've been honest this whole time, but maybe that could be a bad thing. Or if it turned out to be a good thing. And then Advocate Sue also had to come down. And she's like, dang, if I get eliminated, Blake gonna be standing by himself. If SuAnn get eliminated, then will Blake self-eliminate? I don't know. I'm very curious to know how this is all going to play out. I don't think either one of those ladies should go home, because what it needs to be, we done already discussed this, and everybody else on their YouTube channel has discussed this. It needs to be Cynthia and Anthony, Jefri and Andre, Mark Anthony and Mercedes, and SuAnn and Blake. And whatever Morgan, Tony, and Lyndon do, that's their business. Actually, all three of them go home, because that's a mess. That ain't even real connections. And that's the couples. And that's all we got to do. We ain't need to eliminate Susu and Mercedes, because they both have genuine connections. So, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments how y'all think it's going to end up playing out for next week. Because, as Andre begins to say, Mercedes, you was giving the homegirl vibe, we don't know. SuAnn, you seem to be guarded and all that. And then it cuts off. So we don't know who went home. Of course, they gave us a good old cliffhanger like they like to do on Ready to Love. Like I said, let me know in the comments who y'all think should go home. I really think neither lady should go home, because we can see the connections are there. The only people, they just need to solidify them, because Andre already pretty much said he wanted Jefri. Mark Anthony already pretty much said he wanted Mercedes. Whatever, like I said, we don't care what the hell Tony, Lyndon, and Morgan do. They gonna kill each other, and Morgan gonna tear their hair off anyway, so it don't matter. Anyway, y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.